everyone, thank you for coming. I decided to create a presentation on literacy centers because based on our needs assessment survey, it showed that literacy centers was of high interest for our school. So I have a learning target to start us off that shows what we're going to be learning about today. I'm learning to implement literacy centers that foster learning through the use of student-centered work. So in order to determine if we're being successful, I have I can statements. I can explain the purpose of literacy centers. Why is it that we implement centers, right? I can create relevant centers. Am I implementing centers that are going to benefit my student learning? I can differentiate centers based on my students' needs. So are my students receiving opportunities to practice work that's at their level? So what are literacy centers? I have a widely used definition of centers here. A literacy center workstation is an area within the classroom where students work alone or interact with one another using instructional material to explore and expand their literacy. So giving students opportunity to practice. Students engage in meaningful literacy tasks. We give them that opportunity to practice, right? The teacher is provided with instructional time that they can use in small groups with students that need that extra help. There is a great opportunity to scaffold instruction. So not only us as teachers are scaffolding within our small group that we're working with, but also the students in each of the stations do have differentiated instruction or differentiated work that allows them to be successful at their level. So launching literacy stations is a video that I would like to show you that focuses on tips and ideas that you can use to target what you can do when you are beginning your stations.
I began working as a consultant with this school 3.5 years ago. The principal has a real vision for where she wants to head with literacy. This is a campus where children are very capable, but we wanted them to go deeper with their learning. We don't want to just accept the status quo. So I was invited to come here to help the teachers move to a deeper level in their thinking. At first, the concept of literacy workstations was a fairly new one for some of them. So we have been moving away from traditional seat work into a more active engagement.
So what I really enjoy hearing Debbie Diller say is anticipate things that can go wrong and teach to them. So you want to think about what students need to know and make sure that you go over it so that they can be successful in their literacy centers when they're working independently. So what does research say about literacy centers? Literacy centers address different learning styles by providing opportunities for multisensory learning, which combines visual, auditory, and tactile features into a learning task. So through literacy centers, we give them the motivation that they need to become independent learners, to become responsible, and to be able to have that motivation that they need to engage them in their learning. The benefits. So first, we have literacy centers can easily be adjusted to target different literacy skills. They can be organized to fit your classroom. So whatever works for you, that's what you want to follow. Whatever fits your environment, whatever fits your room, that's what you want to find to help you make your literacy centers effective. Students are encouraged to collaborate. So not only do they get to build stronger bonds with their peers, they also get to work on their social skills. Next we have technology. It can be also integrated. Right now we have seen an increase in our technology, so why not use it to our advantage, right? Students have a voice. So this is another thing that motivates them. They have the choice to be able to decide. Okay, choosing centers. So we want to first of all assess student learning, see where they're at. We want to create groups and continue to assess so that our groups are fitted and are appropriate. We also want to target areas that our students need. So the centers can change over time. You don't have to keep the same centers. For instance, you can have a permanent center, which can be reading in the library, but you might have some temporary stations that change as your students' skills change as well. So how do we get started? First of all, when we choose a station that we want to work on, we want to explain the expectations so that they know exactly what is expected of them. So we can model correct behavior. If we're teaching our students what it means to read in the library, that's what we want for us to model or another student to model what it looks like. We want to introduce the stations. We want to let them know, hey, this is going to be a 10 to 15 minute station for you. We also want them to practice. So start off small. You can have one station and build upon that. Maybe a week or two later, you can add another station. Then you can add a third or fourth. But giving students a chance to practice as well as explaining the expectations every single day. So here's an example. Things to consider. So you can consider how many students you want in your groups. You can think about what stations you want to use. So this person has read to someone, poetry center, practice writing or printing. We also want to consider how many rotations work for you. You might just want to use 3 stations like this chart here. You might want to use 7. It's up to you what works with your schedule and your time. As well as display. How are our students going to be aware of what they need to do? Is it going to be accessible to them in a pocket chart such as this? Or are we going to have maybe sheet protectors where we can erase and write the new task every day? Here I have an example. This one is called spin and write. So what students do here, this would be about a 3rd or 4th grade level. They are given a spinner. They spin and they choose a verb and a noun. They take their worksheet, they write their verb and their noun, and then they write a sentence combining both of those words. So this would be considered a writing center. Next, I have another example, 4 in a row. Students take their larger card, which has multiple words, and the small cards, they flip it over, they read the word. If they have the word, they place it down. The first student that has 4 in a row is the winner. So this is an example of practicing sight words. Not only do they get to practice their words, but they also get to do it in a way that's engaging and fun for them. Well, what about higher grades, upper grades? Well, literacy centers work in any setting. It could be kinder, it could be 5th, it could be 8th, 9th, middle school, high school. Literacy centers can be adjusted to meet the needs of any grade level. So here I have one, character web. Make a character web about the main character in your story. So students can have, for example, this could be a task card. You definitely want to have something that communicates to students what they're expected to do. So this could be an example, like I said, of a task card. They know what they're supposed to be doing on their own sheet. They can create their own chart, write their main character, the traits, how the character was towards the beginning of the story, what were the actions, and how did this character end towards the end. We also have, here's a very common one, main idea. Who or what was the text? Another example of a task card. We can even include what are some details that support your main idea. I have some other examples here of centers that can be used. Writing center, computer center, math, book club, memory games, journal, comprehension skills, vocabulary, that's a big one. So with the worksheets that I gave you, the articles, I'm going to have you work with your teams. With your team, you're going to come up with 5 possible centers that you can integrate into your classroom. That's going to be appropriate for your grade level. So I'm going to have you also include the focus skill and a brief description of what students are going to be expected to do. I really wanted to comment on the literacy centers that first grade came up with. So they have a library. So the students are going to be reading and they're going to be passing AR quizzes. Next they had spelling. Students will practice writing their spelling words. If finished, they can write them in a sentence. So I really like this station because it not only tells them that they're going to be practicing their spelling words, it's giving them an alternative. What's going to happen after? Right, they're done. So for those early finishers, they're going to have something else to do as well. Leveled readers comprehension. Students answer questions with a partner. So they're going to have their leveled readers going to be reading with a partner and answering some questions. Of course, here you might want sentence starters, right, to help. Maybe as a way to differentiate. Higher students might not need those sentence starters, and other students might. Those lower ones, they might need a sentence starter to help. They have sight words, quiz, trade. Using flashcards, students test each other. Okay, so that's a fun way to interact as well as practicing. And their 5th one was computers, so they're going to be working on Lexia or Connect Ed. Okay, so great job. Okay, so now that we're done with our posters, sharing our ideas, I'm going to have you reflect using a KWL chart. So I have sticky notes for what I know, what you already knew. I'm going to have you use pink. For what I learned, I'm going to have you use the green. And for what I want to know, if there's still any questions you may have about how to get started, that would be our orange. So I'm going to have you go ahead and share one of each, and then we'll take a look at them after. So here I have some additional resources that I think can be very helpful when you are working on your stations. So you're not obligated to buy these books, but I think it can really help gather some great ideas. We have Debbie Diller's Literacy Workstations, Making Centers Work, and The Cornerstone by Angela Powell, Classroom Management that makes teaching more effective, efficient, and enjoyable. So those are 2 great resources that can be used to gather ideas on how to manage stations, as well as examples of stations that you can use in your classroom. And I also have a survey. I want to thank you for attending, and if you can fill that out for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.